Hi everyone, it's Allison Alyssa Carty of AllisonAlyssa.com. Last night I had a wonderful opportunity to speak to a group of young professionals about salary negotiation. And one of the points that I brought up was that it's a really good idea to track your accomplishments in your work throughout the year so that when it comes time for an annual review or time to ask for a raise, you'll have a great case already made for getting that salary bump. One of the audience members asked a great question, which was, well, what exactly should I be tracking? What should I be monitoring and keeping in this list? And I think there's two big things to consider for what you want to be tracking. The first is the big picture of the organization that you're working for. So you want to think about who are the key parties involved in the work that you're doing, who are you trying to make a good impression on or be of service to. So for example, if you work in a nonprofit, there's likely two parties, two big parties. One would be the donors and the people who are supplying money through fundraising type efforts. And then the other would be the population that you're trying to support and be of service to, kind of your customer. If you're working in a business, clearly you're trying to impact the customer and be of service and do a good job for them. If you're working for the government, then you're ultimately responsible to the taxpayer or maybe adhering to different regulations. So think about the big picture of who you're trying to make a good impression on and do a good job for, and also the overall aim of the organization. There's a great story, I forget where I read it, but it's about Southwest Airlines, where the owner of the airline said that his goal was to be the lowest cost airfare provider. And that way, with that aim, the story goes that if somebody had a great idea to serve premier sandwiches during the flights, you could clearly compare, well, will serving these sandwiches help us be the lowest cost airline? And it would not. So if you can grab on to what the overall goal of the organization is, then that will be helpful for what you should track. The second part is to consider your immediate environment, in particular, who's supervising you, so your boss or bosses. And hopefully they have some guidelines for what they want you to be working on, and hopefully you can also kind of key into what they're most wanting, what goals they're trying to achieve, and how your work fits into those overall goals. So I have two quick stories about this. One is I was attending a different presentation and a young woman was speaking about a particular job experience she had had where she was working for a legislator, and her role at that time was to be sort of an assistant, to manage his schedule. He also gave her some leeway to think about the bigger picture of the work that he was doing and the impact he was trying to have. But one of the things that her story was recounting was that when she went too far into that freedom kind of realm and neglected the core responsibility of managing his schedule and he got stranded somewhere, then that was not a good thing. So you always want to think about the core responsibility, what do you have to definitely deliver on consistently over time, and to make sure you're doing that. Another story is from a career coach that I spoke with who told me that a lot of times what she sees is that people have trouble when they're doing a great job delivering for one boss and they click really well and hit all the marks, but then if the management changes and they start working for someone else who has different expectations, they can have trouble making that switch and connecting to the new set of guidelines. So you really want to be careful to tailor the work that you're doing to the person who you're doing it for and to make sure that you're meeting those expectations. So hopefully by thinking about both the big picture and the small picture, you can come up with the right metrics to be tracking for the work that you're doing, and hopefully that will also help you not only with getting a salary increase, but also with just doing a good job and delivering for the people you're working for in general.